talk about all things lender related. I'm your host, Sean Smith. I'm a mortgage loan officer for Morty, and I originate loans in Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida. So if you need a loan, you find a home at Sean's Mortgage Agility. Today's topic I'd like to talk about is we're looking at how much income is required for a certain house. Housing expensing ratio, effects of prepayment on a loan, and the maximum PT or PITI or PITI, as they say. Okay, so there's two types of housing expense ratios. The front or the top ratio. It's monthly income that can be devoted to housing expenses, and PITI stands for, of course, principal, interest, tax, insurance, and HOA. The H is silent. Total debt ratio is the back end or bottom or DTI, debt to income. Total obligations of the house, expenses such as car payments, credit cards, student loans, other recurring required payments like child support and alimony payments, personal loan payments. You would leave out of that figure the utility cost, health insurance costs, transportation costs, savings account contributions, 401ks, and what have you. Basically, anything that's reoccurring and is month by month that you couldn't get rid of, like for instance, subscriptions. You wouldn't include that. Moving on, we have to determine the maximum loan amount of PITI. So what we do is we multiply the total monthly income by 28% from total monthly income deducted real estate taxes, hazard insurance. Multiply the total monthly income by 36% from the total monthly income deductions and all debts. The smaller of these two numbers is the maximum PITI. Subtract all components, real estate insurance. Okay, so here we have the Excel sheet I've created. And this is just for demonstration purposes, of course. And I've tried to recreate part of the table that shows the ratios. And we have housing expense front end of 28% for a conventional loan, conforming loan that would go to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. We have a DTI total debt of 36%. This would be your FHA loans, and this would be your FHA loans, 31%, 43%, of course, your VA, and so on. So let's look at, first of all, these figures here. So your sales price, you have a $200,000 loan or price of your house, and then you're going to put down roughly 10%, and the loan that knocks the loan amount down to $180,000. And then you have your interest rate, of course, of 5.9. Terms are 360 months, which would be a 30-year loan, of course. And then that brings you to a payment of this amount. And this is where this formula, if you're using Excel, comes into play. So it's a payment formula. Here's your interest rate, of course, that's divided by 12. So your monthly interest rate, 360 is your term, 180,000, of course, is the loan amount. And the zeros here just say that you would be paying at the end of the month. Okay, so, and this is a fictitious tax amount and insurance here. And then that would bring you up to a total of this amount for a payment. And at the qualifying ratio of 28% that we see up here, which would be the front end, that would mean that you would need to have a required income of $4,705.88 in order to qualify for this loan at this interest rate. Okay. So now moving down here, now what if we took a loan out in the amount of $100,000 and with an interest rate of 7%. And initially, we have the loan terms of a 30-year mortgage. And so we have a payment of, normally we have a payment that's required of $665.30, but we want to pay more. And what's that going to do to the terms of our loan? Are we going to be able to pay off the loan quicker, and by how much? So if we increase that to 900, that means that we would pay off the loan in 179.58 days, roughly. And the way that comes out, again, this is your formula, the payment formula. And as I explained before, kind of went over how that works. And then when it comes down to here, we're putting in a negative amount of $900. And then this is their new formula, the NPER, I guess. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you'd use that formula in your interest rate, of course, divided by 12. There's your payment. And then that shows how quickly you can pay off your loan in that respect. Okay, so to determine the maximum loan amount that you're going to qualify for, and basically how big of a payment that you're going to be able to make to qualify for this loan. So you have a monthly income of $4,000. You have a housing ratio of 28, which is your front end. You have a maximum PITI of $1,120. Okay, so that's how that comes about, because we're multiplying the 28% by your monthly income. Okay, and then say we're taking that amount, your monthly income of $4,000, and we're multiplying that times your 36%, which is your DTI, or your back end amount, which takes in account all of your debt. And then that's coming out to this amount, $1,440. Okay, so now we're subtracting some of the debts here from that amount. And this is our maximum PITI. Comes out to $1,134. Okay. So of these two amounts, the $1,120 and the $1,340, whichever is the smaller amount becomes our maximum PITI. So in this case, it's $1,120. Okay. So if we look at this in a different respect, the same thing, we're doing the same thing with the same amount of monthly income, and we get our $1,120 and our $1,440. But this time we have more debt, and so we're subtracting the $400, and it comes up to a PITI using this amount of $1,040. So that becomes less because we have more debt. Okay, basically. So that comes out to our maximum PITI of this amount, $1,040. Okay, so you're taking the smallest amount to decide the maximum amount that you can pay of principal, interest, tax, and insurance on a loan. Now, there's a lot of engines out there that will do this, of course. Most of your lenders have engines out there. I just want to go over this to kind of show you how all this is calculated. And who knows, some of those engines may be wrong. You never know. You can figure this out yourself and kind of get a ballpark figure of what it should be, and maybe have a little more peace of mind of when you go into it, and of knowing why these numbers are the way they are, why you qualify, why you don't qualify, and what you can do about it. Now, this amount, you can use this calculation a lot of times even for investments. Say you're looking at a house out there and you don't know if that's a good price for that house, for that area. Sure, you can get comps from your realtors. That's a good idea if they're as recent as you can. And a similar house, very similar location, as much as you can. But another thing you can do is look at this, because once you calculate this, you know that the monthly income required for this sales price of a house at this interest rate currently for a conventional loan, 30-year mortgage, is going to be this amount. And if you look up the average income of someone in that area, you can calculate if that house is the right price. Can someone with this income afford this house? If they're selling that house for, another 100,000, it might seem like a good deal. You could, rehab it. You bring up its after rehab value to say 300,000. But in this area, can anybody afford that? Can you sell it? Are you going to be able to sell it for that price? Or are you going to have to depreciate that? That's going to give you another peace of mind, or let you know if you can do that. All right, I think that's all I'm going to cover in this episode here. Thanks again for watching. And if you have any lending needs, of course, in Texas, Oklahoma, or Florida, please contact me at my email address or my phone number. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you.